Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Cantina Corner podcast. Make sure you get comfortable. Make sure you grab yourself a seat, a nice cold beverage, and enjoy the show that we have for you today. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you for always listening to our show. If you're a return listener, thank you very much. If you're new to the show, welcome. But if you can, make sure when you view these videos on YouTube or any of our social media likes, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube page, hit the bell notification button, and make sure you click all notifications. That way, every time that we put up an episode live on YouTube, that day you will be notified of every single one, and you will be not out of the loop. So that'll be big for you, and it'll also show support for the show for us, and we would greatly appreciate it. But today we're getting into our not react, but like react review thoughts on the new Loki show on Disney Plus. It is a show that comes out every Wednesday, mainly revolving around Loki from the Marvel series. If you're not familiar, from the Avengers, and they've done 2 episodes so far. We've got another episode coming out. What is today? Today is Tuesday, so we got a new episode coming out tomorrow. Where we're going to kind of go over the first 2 episodes and our thoughts and opinions on it and where we think this is going to go. So I'm excited for that. I don't know about you guys, but how are both of you fine gentlemen doing? And are you ready to talk Loki?
Doing well. I am ready. So ready.
You're not that guy,
So-
pal. You're not that guy.
You may think you're that guy. You're not that guy. You're not that guy. Loki's that guy, though.
He is. Or that girl.
He is. Don't get ahead of me. Calm down now. We got episode 1 to go into first.
All right.
God, man, I'm
But
gonna be fuzzy on episode 1. That was 2 weeks ago. Whew.
I've watched them twice just to see if I usually, like I always say, first time I watch it for enjoyment, second time is to like pick it apart and see if I miss anything and kind of like, decrypt whatever I think might be there. But before we get into like 1 and 2, just thoughts and reactions of the show so far. Like, what have you guys liked about it? Do you think it is what you thought it was? Like, just kind of your initial thoughts.
I think it's great. I've been wanting to go back and rewatch the 2 episodes, but I haven't had time yet. But I'm going to at some point. But it's that good. I just want to rewatch them to rewatch them. This is way better than Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I don't even think I'm ever gonna watch WandaVision now. It's fucking way better. So
I understand
mean,
that.
Yeah, and honestly, WandaVision's not like a necessary watch. To me, it's more for enjoyment, me personally. So I mean, I don't think you have to watch it, but it is worth it if you get around to it. But I get it. What about you, Cody?
I love it. But, I like Tom Hiddleston and I like the way he plays Loki. I think is fantastic. So I'm not surprised that I like this show. The writing seems to be good and there's a hell of a lot more going on than the other shows already. We're in episode 2.
yeah,
So it seems a lot more quick paced, but I think it's only like 6 or 7 episodes. So it makes sense that it's like fast paced.
Is it? Because I was actually, when I was watching it the second time, when my dad wanted to watch it his first time, he asked me like, how many episodes are there? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. And I haven't really wanted to look. So that way I'm not like anticipating like what, because usually when you know how many episodes there are, when you get to a certain point, like the middle part of it or towards the end, you're like, okay, I assume something big's going to happen here because we're getting to this point into the end of the series. And, so I mean, that's interesting. It's only 6 or 7.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So-
But and I like what Nick said about like, and I know you've said it too, Cody, about how this is better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's weird because that show was great, really good.
yeah, that
but-
wasn't a bad show.
I had this weird feeling when I watched these episodes the second time over. I don't know what it was, that even though I love that show and I know it's Marvel, this felt more Marvel to me than any of the other 2. Like I actually felt like I was watching like a long drawn out Marvel movie as opposed to those actually felt like shows. Like I get so sucked into this that it actually feels like a Marvel movie just in pieces.
I can understand that because Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you're following, I mean, this is going to sound disrespectful, but it's not, like side characters who are
Yeah.
stepping into the limelight. I mean, Loki's been in the limelight from the get-go. I mean, he's been an antagonist from every Avengers movie pretty much. So he's already entrenched in the storyline. We know his entire story all the way to his death. So this is totally stepping out of the realm of what we already know and shit that could be going on. Like it's a whole new timeline, basically branching off what we've already seen.
Plus, he's just one of the more fun characters too in the whole
Yeah.
like thing.
He's one of the better actors in the entire MCU, to be honest.
Yeah, and when it comes to character development, and not only him being who he is as an actor and doing a phenomenal job in that role, when it comes to character development, Loki's always been the most to me that has the most character development that's interesting when it comes to like how his backstory is intertwined, going back to his original movies, to his relationship with Thor, and like how he always goes flip flops good to bad, and like his dealing with his like internal morality. And there's always so much to really flesh out with him that
Yeah.
it just makes it inherently more interesting.
Yeah, he's a deep character. He's
Yeah.
not a straight path guy. Which
Yeah,
honestly, do you think it's interesting? I think they did it on purpose, but like when he picks up the Tesseract and he lands in the desert, it almost like emulates Tony Stark after he escapes the camp in the Iron Man suit. Like the way he's laying there, almost like he's starting like a new character. It's almost like a new character is being born.
yeah.
I think that was kind of what they were going for there.
I could see it. I mean, it definitely foreshadowed that, it was the same thing. It's like, he hit that place and that's like the turning point to like what's going to
Yeah.
happen to him from now on.
Exactly.
And I find it interesting with this show that what I thought, we know Loki. We know who Loki is from the movies. Like you said, we've seen him from all the way everything into his death. But now the Loki that we're dealing with from the very beginning of the first episode, I had to keep reminding myself, this is not the same Loki.
Mhm.
This is the same dickhead that was trying to overtake everything, and that's where he's at that point. So we're seeing him from there. It's not like I'm seeing Loki that I know. And to me, that was so interesting. I kept having to remind myself, I'm like, no, that's the Loki from the first Avengers movie. And I'm like, that's just, I don't know why it was so weird to like wrap my head around, like, it's not the same guy. Like, he's not that guy, pal.
He's not that guy. Trust me, he's not that guy. Yeah,
But
it's
it was
interesting.
just weird.
Especially when Owen Wilson, who is playing great, his character is way better than I thought it would. When I first saw it, I was like, Owen Wilson, like what the fuck? But he's doing a great job. Like I totally get the chemistry there is fantastic. But when he's playing like Loki's future that he hasn't gotten to yet, and you can see how it's hitting him, you can see like how he's like mentally just changes and flips right there. Like I don't like hurting people and all that. What he was talking about, honestly, I just thought of Trump when he was explaining on why he hurts people. But anyways, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was almost like having like all that data downloaded in your head and like you fast tracked to that point. Like it brought him full circle within a matter of, a minute, 2 minutes that he was sitting there watching that shit.
Exactly.
And it was very interesting seeing him because like I said, he's at that point where he is like, he hates his father, he hates his brother. He's been trying to take over, Earth and then eventually the galaxy from what, they were trying to like pick at him for. And then when he's watching those scenes where like he's, connecting with his brother and him and his brother on good terms and his father telling him how they're like both great sons. And it's like, I couldn't imagine being at the state of where he was in his life, but then seeing the future like that and seeing how it plays out and just being like, holy shit. Like it was such a strong scene. Like that scene out of the first 2 episodes is probably my favorite because you just see like so much and he doesn't say 2 words while he's watching that, but it's almost like you can hear him speaking because you can see it in his eyes. And that just plays a testament to his acting and what he did with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all.
It's phenomenal. And then, like you said, with Owen Wilson, the only reason, if I didn't have faith in Marvel, if I didn't know how good Marvel was, if I'd never seen Marvel movies, I'd be like, Owen Wilson in a superhero movie? Like, that's weird. But I have such faith with them in picking people because they've never really done wrong. I would say 99% of the time. Usually when they pick someone and I'm like, what? And then I see it and I'm like, wow, phenomenal job. I was like, I had faith that they knew what Owen Wilson can do and they had him in the right spot and they've knocked it out of the park with him because he's so interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I want to ask both of you this. Do you think the chemistry between Loki and Owen Wilson's character, the head guy at the TVA for his case, do you think it's better than Falcon and Winter Soldier for the show?
No.
Okay. All right. I was just curious.
He doesn't want your opinion, Nick. He just wants mine.
I don't know.
I said both of you.
Well, you didn't even let me. You just kind of let Cody finish, and that was it. So
I just responded to what he said.
I'll bow out, dude. It's cool.
No, I want to know
I'm
what
just
you
kidding.
No,
have
I
to
don't.
say.
I don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. I haven't really thought about it in relation to that, other than I just like it a whole lot better. I haven't gone through the finer details of like that. I mean, I don't know. I'll defer to you guys on that. You know more of the Marvel shit too, and how these relationships are supposed to play out.
Or he
Yeah,
just
it's
means
just
like
I
acting,
think it's
acting
solid. Well,
chemistry. That's what he's
I
talking
think
about.
that yeah, I think it's solid. I've got no problems with it at all. I think it definitely makes the show like
No, it's great.
as good as it is
It's
for
great,
sure.
but you can't. There's something to be said for guys who've been working together on a few movies already. You know, like they already
Yeah.
had that. I mean, honestly, if you take away like their Bucky and Falcon's relationship, like that show's terrible. Honestly, can't have that show without both of them.
I could see it. I could see it. The one thing, and it may be because the them together is like new and fresh. Maybe that's why I'm excited about it. Maybe that's why I think that, because it's like I haven't seen it before. You know, it's
Yeah.
something brand new. But I love their back and forth, the way they talk and how interesting it is, because I don't know, to me, and I want both of you to tell me, do you think Owen Wilson's character has anything more than just his job, or do you think there's something deeper? From what we've seen so far, obviously is not that much, but do you think there's something deeper on his connection with why he's so fascinated with Loki? It's just him working that case and he's been doing it so long.
I would say they definitely like hint at other things. Maybe not like he's got other stuff going on besides that job, but like just that he seems like he would do something out of the ordinary that he shouldn't, as one of those like, what is it, time variant agent or whatever the hell he is,
Yeah.
whatever it's called. They definitely like, yeah, I don't know. They definitely have like parts during the first two episodes like showing, yeah, he might at some point in this series do something against the time authority, like something like that. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's maybe something other than he has that, like other than the job or whatever, but it doesn't seem like he's gonna stick to it strictly.
Okay. What do you think?
No,
You don't think there's anything deeper than just his job?
no, I think all the people in the TVA are slaves.
Okay.
It definitely seems like that for sure.
I think they're all
Yeah.
variants that they put to work for him to help control other variants.
So you think that there's actually another, like a person of Owen Wilson's character in the real world, but he's just a carbon copy that's there to work.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that would also play to them showing different things like that. Because what was he talking about that he really wanted to do?
Jet skis.
Was it jet skiing? Yeah.
So maybe that's like a previous like thought of like his former life or something, and then there's a reason as to why he's so attracted to jet skis. Maybe he had them,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Maybe
I
he was
didn't think of
supposed.
that.
Maybe he was supposed to die on a jet ski accident, but this one didn't die,
Hmm.
creating a different timeline. So that he was taken to the TVA, and now he just became a slave. He's supposed to just die on a jet ski.
Yeah, because it's interesting when he talks about, he's like, yeah, we were just created to do this.
Yeah.
And Loki's like really? There's some 3 space lizards, and he's he's like, time wizards. He's like, whatever. He's like, but you guys are just created. He's like, yeah, we're just created, and then when it's all done, we'll just meet in the end of peace and time, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
It was just like, what?
That part was funny. That shit was hilarious.
What made it funny too is when Loki was like, this all sounds stupid. And he's like, all right, well, what about you? And he's like, who's your father? He's like, Odin. He's like, all right, God of the 7 realms. And he's like, and who is your real father? He's like, Odenheim or whatever it was, the frost giant, and this and that. And he's like, doesn't that sound crazy to you? He's like, no, that's normal. And he's like, it's all the same. Like, it's both fucking weird. He's like, just because that's your reality doesn't make it like more normal than what this is. Which I thought was very interesting. It almost felt like a play on like religion a little bit, like how they're
Yeah.
talking about like what you believe and what you have faith in, like,
Yeah.
and speaking of comedy, one thing that I wanted to touch on that I thought was hilarious, that was also a turning point for Loki, sitting there thinking that, the TVA was like, the biggest power in the universe, or whatever you want to call it, depending on where they are, is when he opened that drawer to get the Tesseract and he saw just a bunch of Infinity Stones just chilling there. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "We get a lot of those. You know, most of the guys in the office use them as paperweights." And I was just like, "God damn!" Like these things that like they fought over and that they like everything mattered and all this was crazy and they're just rocks. Like no one cares. And it almost to me was like a huge humbling moment. Like everything you've cared about in your life means nothing. Like it means nothing. There's a bigger picture, so much more going out there. And it was just like, holy fuck. Because you think about all that stuff we've cared about when we've watched these movies all the way up to Endgame with those damn stones and everything else. And this show's like, yeah, they're fucking paperweights.
Yep.
Like, it was just, I had the same feeling as Loki. I was like, God, it means nothing. Now, if I ever get my actual Infinity Gauntlet hand that I want, the big fucking fist hand that you can get, I'm going to be like, it's a paperweight. I'm just going to put on my desk. But what do you guys think is interesting the most about this show compared to everything that we've seen Marvel create? Because I'll give you my opinion on it, but I want to hear your guys' first. Like, what do you think makes this show so interesting compared to the rest?
I like every aspect of it. I think it's exciting. I really like I'm still just getting into the whole Marvel thing as of like when was I started watching the movies just this year within the last like 2 to 3 months. So I still have a lot to go and everything, but just I don't know, I like every aspect of it. And then too, now that they showed who they were chasing, that opens up a lot of questions too. Because I'm wondering now, like my sister was talking about something about it's a female Loki or something like that. But I was just like, I guess it could be maybe a different variant of Loki or something like that. But then I was like thinking too, maybe it's like somebody that's using some way for them to trace her so they think it's Loki, but it's not, and she's just trying to lure him in because she needs him for something or something like that. I don't know. There's different ways to go about it. That was extremely interesting, that last episode there. As soon as it ended, I wanted to watch the third episode after that and see what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, for sure. What's got you hooked the most, Cody?
I really like that answer. I was really impressed by that answer from Nicholas. That's all.
It was a strong answer. It was very strong.
I mean, this show is setting up the next slate of movies. Point blank that this is going to directly affect the Doctor Strange movie. It's probably going to affect in some way Spider-Man. Out of the other two shows are basically just character building for those characters. And we got the Scarlet Witch, and then we got Falcon turning into Captain America. This show is actually affecting the entire timeline of the MCU. So that's what's got me hooked, because I have a feeling that, you know, when the next Thor movie comes out late next year, you might get some reference to what happened in this show, because they're really good at connecting shit like that. But I agree with Nicholas. I got this weird feeling that's not a Lady Loki. I think it's Enchantress, and I think they're sneaking her in to make it look like she's a Lady Loki, because, you know, Disney putting a woman in there, people will just believe it. You know what I mean?
And that's where, like, when I was talking to my sister, because she had mentioned something like it might be something like that. I'm sure it's probably just people on the internet bitching about something, because I'm like, there's no way you could tell either way right now with what they revealed. But I'm like, if Disney went that route, it's like that'd be very disappointing, because this show's so good so far. But I'm like, I don't see them really going that route. Like,
I mean, it wouldn't
just like making it just a female to do it. I'm not saying that's all I'm saying is like,
yeah. And I mean,
making Loki a woman just to make Loki a woman.
You could get away with it just because then it would just be a variant, and, you know, you would just know that some timeline there is a woman Loki, and it's over with. So I can understand you can get away with it, but I think it was very important that the spell that she used considerably that we saw was an enchantment spell when she was transferring the spell from person to person. Mm-hmm. And Loki even said the name of it, and that's when I was like, oh, this could be Enchantress. Like this could just totally not even be like a Lady Loki, and Enchantress is a woman in the comics, so it would make sense.
That's how I was asking Alyssa when we seen her. I was like, who is that? Do you know that character? Because if I knew all the Marvel characters, or at least a decent amount of them, I would start like trying to pick out who it was. because that again, that's my thought is like she's using something so they're tracking her thinking it's Loki, and she's trying to get him for something bigger.
Yeah.
And she didn't know who the character was, and I'm like, damn it, I need to know because we need to match it up. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
I was gonna say she did leave the door open long enough for him to come in, so she definitely wanted him to come.
Yeah.
That is true. At least give him the option to choose,
Right.
you know, enough to give him the option to choose. But I did, when they showed her reveal at the end of episode 2, I looked online. I didn't want to dig too far because I just wanted to see if it was something, and then I wanted to like get off the webpage just to see who she was, if it's from comics or whatever. And the minute that I saw it was actually from some form of Marvel Comics, I got off the webpage. I didn't want to know anymore because I want to be surprised. But it is whatever that deals with her, whether it's a female Loki, what have you, I don't know because I didn't keep reading. All I saw was that it was derived from the comics. Now, if something's derived from the comics, they can also use that for, you know, just the basis and then tweak it and do what they want with it. So who knows what they're going to do with it, but it is something from the comics. So they didn't just whip it out of their ass as far as I know. So it's derived at least from source material. So I don't know what it'll be, but I at least know that. And I was like, okay, that's all I want to know. I just want to know if this was something that they were just making up or if it's actually lore, like canon in some way, shape, or form.
There's so much different. There is no canon with comics, bro.
Well, I know, but you know what I mean? Like, has it been done before in comic book form? Because that's where all this shit usually derives from.
No,
That's
I
all
understand
want.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying it's not like Star Wars. Like
Well, yeah.
there's just series. It's like, oh,
Well, yeah,
Captain
I mean-
America died this way. Well, guess what? He's back alive, and now he's gonna die this way. It's just how it is, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, case in point, my dad was watching an animated DC show the other day, and I'm like, what is that? I'm like, why is Batman talking with a Russian accent? He's like, oh, it's this like alternate version of things that like kind of like what Marvel's about to do.
Communist.
What
Yeah,
if?
yeah, it's a what if thing, but it's basically an entire animated series in the DC universe where like Superman lands like instead of like America, he lands in Russia, and it's like all the characters are derived around that. So like Batman is like speaking in a Russian accent. He's dealing with like the USSR and like there's
Pounded
all
vodka.
Speaking of
like,
speaking of characters, did you see? I'm pretty sure that was Agent Carter in the TVA as well.
when?
Agent Carter, like from Rush Hour.
Carter.
Agent Carter.
Carter. When Loki is like when he's got the little time thing and he's looping himself around, when he goes back to like the front desk area, you see the thing open in the background, and it like pretty clearly looks like Agent Carter is being walked through to the front desk.
No, I didn't catch that. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that.
I really
Sure.
don't know who this Agent Carter is, though, to be honest.
Fucking Captain America's girl, dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I remember seeing her in there.
Yeah, back from the first Avenger movie, his very first movie that he did, his solo movie, I should say.
Actually, I don't know if I remember, but yeah,
It's called
I
The First
remember seeing her
Avenger,
in that,
so you weren't too far off.
Yeah. There is one thing that did bother me when I watched the first episode, and I wanted to see if I'm just crazy or if you guys can help me iron this out. Okay, so obviously he gets a Tesseract and he travels to, you know, the desert, and then they pick him up because he committed crime, and they fucking take him in there, yada yada. And when he's on trial, bitching about it, and they're like, you know, you're going to be put on trial for your crimes, and he's like, well, it's the Avengers' fault. They're the ones that traveled back, or I wouldn't have got the Tesseract. Like, you need to go talk to them. And the judge goes, well, no, that was supposed to happen. What you did wasn't. And when I kept thinking about it, I was like, why is this bothering me? Because if you, and this is where we're getting into like Back to the Future, like, you know, trying to figure out time travel shit. It gets murky, but just bear with me. So, okay. Their original plan was supposed to happen where they travel back and they get all the stuff that they need so that they can win an end game, right? That was their original plan. What he did when he grabbed the Tesseract and disappeared, that wasn't supposed to happen. But then they had to travel again and come up with a backup plan to still do what they needed to do. So if he wasn't supposed to do that, but what they were supposed to do was supposed to happen, and they found another way to do it anyway, how does that fucking make sense? You know what I mean? Like if
because they went back in time again, even further.
Yeah, if that was supposed to happen, what they did was supposed to happen, why what he did is the wrong thing, and their outcome was supposed to happen, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, how does that make sense?
Well, because if it was the right thing to do, there'd be no Loki show.
Well, I get it from that standpoint, from like making a show, but like if you think of like the actual like logistics of it, like it seems like that's just kind of like,
Well, maybe it's not just that they were just supposed to go back in time and get it. They were allowed to break the time barrier, or whatever you want to call it. I guess they were allowed to go back in time to get what they needed to get to change the course of history.
so as long as their end result was
the end
same-
result was the same, just perfect example. They explain this in the show. It's an Armageddon. You can do whatever you want because it's about to be an Armageddon. You can be a variant in an Armageddon. What the fuck am I saying?
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting a little too excited. You can hide in an apocalypse and fucking just tear shit up, and it won't matter because the end result is what matters. That's the only thing that matters. So the end result of them going back in time, that's all that mattered. It didn't matter if they went back in time 25 different places. The end result is what mattered. So they could do whatever they want and create a variance, but there would be no variance energy from them because the end result was the same. Boom.
All right, well,
I just cracked your fucking theory. Sit
Thank
down.
you.
Take notes,
wanted-
brother. Take notes.
This is why I'm asking, because I wanted to be wrong. Because I talked to my dad about it, and I was like, this is pissing me off because I feel like for the first time in my life, I found a plot hole, and I'm like, ooh, I found it. But I'm like, now it's making me mad. And I was like, I need to ask Cody about this, because when I asked him, he was like, I don't know, my head hurts. And I was like, I just don't worry about it, because I was like, Cody always finds this shit.
Figure it out.
And
They answered it.
there you go. Thank you, because it was bugging me. I was like, I don't want to find something wrong with this show because it's so good. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Which, by the way, that apocalypse thing was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it
when they
was.
went to Pompeii. He's like,
Yeah, I love, like, before he even started freaking out, when he's like, oh, it's kind of exciting. He's like, yeah, it is, but these people are going to die. It's like, yeah, you can't even hide the fact that, yeah, it's a little cool. Like,
you get to see Pompeii happen. And he's like, you're all gonna die. Right when it blows up, he's like, right on cue. Everyone's running for their lives. He's like, yeah. He's fucking chucking lettuce at him.
when he let the goats go, he's like, run, my little horned friends.
He's like, enjoy your last meal because nothing mattered. I was like, this is kind of dark, but funny at the same time. What was it? Owen Wilson said, he's like, can you make some bird noises or something? He's like, what? It's like, no.
I know I've seen this a theory about the TVA being in a quantum realm, and I'm starting to believe that.
You really think? Have you heard anything about that, Nick? It's mostly
No.
been on TikTok from what I've seen, which is
I'm not.
assuming
Listen, I'm
on
not
TikTok.
talking about the Ant-Man scene because I know people are trying to say that's the TVA. Or
Okay,
whatever. I'm not talking about
that's what-
that. I'm just talking about it being placed in the quantum realm.
And I'm not sure what the quantum realm is either.
Yeah, he hasn't
I'm
watched
still new to
Ant-Man.
this
dude.
whole- Yeah, I haven't watched Ant-Man. I know it's like, yeah, whatever place he went to get the time travel shit or something like that, right? Or like the stuff to time travel.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't listen. I just started like watching these.
No,
movies
we
and
don't
shit,
want to
but I don't
explain
know,
it to
like-
ruin it because it'll ruin the movie.
Just fucking
But-
tell me what the quantum realm is, dude. It don't matter.
It's a place where time is different, man. You can travel.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. That's where they went when they travel in time in Endgame. You're seeing them go through the quantum realm.
Okay.
And Tony Stark found a way to navigate through there to create time travel. And I think it's actually
Like-
Morbius sphere or something like that. It's named after Owen Wilson's fucking character in Endgame. Little Easter egg.
Yeah, and like they explain how, and this is why people are coming up with that theory, and people are trying to connect it because when he, like when Ant-Man's character in Infinity War goes in there and he's in there for 5 minutes, but then when he comes out in the beginning of Endgame, it's been 5 years because time acts different. When Loki was talking to Owen Wilson's character, Morbius or whatever the fuck it is, he was like, well, how long have you been here? And he's like, well, it's kind of weird. Time works different here, so that's where people started getting that idea, I'm assuming. And then they started tying it into all that and thinking that, the TVA is located within the quantum realm because they're able to go within time and do whatever they need to do, which is what the Avengers did. But time works different there. So everyone's assuming that that's where they're located because they haven't said it yet.
Right.
Which would make sense.
That, and there's two other things for me. I'm not just one of those people who's like, oh, they said that. It's definitely a thing. One, the Infinity Stones having no power. There would be nothing for them to be Infinity Stones over in the quantum realm. They don't have anything to derive power from in the quantum realm.
Anything magic.
And which would make them completely useless, like they are. And then two, when they're in Pompeii and Loki asks, where are we from the future or are we from the past? And Owen Wilson can't answer the question. Like, he doesn't really know, you know? So that's where I'm kind of like, it would make sense because they are traveling through time and they have these devices where they can go to any point in time, kind of like what Tony Stark had done. It was just not in a little keypad. So that's where I'm starting to buy that a little bit. Not that they showed it, but that's where it is.
Yeah, and it would, I mean, it seems sensible. And also, I mean, the next Ant-Man movie that they got coming out is called Quantumania.
Yeah.
So if it's coming out after something like this is being shown, there's a possibility that, you know, it's all going to tie together if this theory pans out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I forget the fucker's name, but one of the lizards is supposed to be the villain in that.
The time lizard, the blue
antagonist.
The blue, yeah, he's the blue one.
Yeah.
But one thing that got me really excited in the end of episode 2 is when she bombed the timeline and just seeing that shit spread out and knowing that that's where we're going in these future movies. I was like, it's happening. I was like, I get to see the birth of everything we get going on. I was like,
were you like Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Mike, they're all coming back. I don't know. It just got me excited because it was like seeing like the first trailer for the Avengers movie. Like, oh my God, we're finally getting it. You know, it was like seeing that like just spider web out. I was like we're getting into the next fucking phase of things.
Yeah.
Like you said, you know, the other movie or the other TV series that we've seen were more character building. This is universe building. Like this is building on what like is going to happen. And I guess that's why it just hits so much harder. So much harder.
No, I agree. And it was episode 2, and like this feels like it's like the climax already. Like we're getting to shit's about to go down. Like
that's like what Adam was saying earlier, how it's like it's felt like a movie. It really like that's exactly like it's only 2 episodes, but it feels like so much stuff has happened. Like it's just so action packed. Like everything's been fast paced from almost the get go. It's been fucking phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. And another thing to touch on Tom Hiddleston when he was getting brought into the TVA and he was going through his whole intro process, and they were sitting there like, please confirm that you are not a robot, this and that, and he was like, I'm not. He's like, wait a minute, wouldn't people know if they're not robots? Thank you for your confirmation. Like, what would happen to me? Your insides would be liquefied from the inside out. And he's like, ugh. he's like, thank you, move along. He's got that picture, and he's like, what is that? He's like, your oral temperature. Well, what is that? like, he's just so out of touch with everything. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Did you think of Indiana Jones with the ticket thing too?
Oh, when he
I thought of Indiana Jones immediately. No ticket.
Which Indiana Jones?
I think it's the third one.
When he's in the
when they get him the Zeppelin, with his dad, and he dresses up as the waiter, and he punches the Nazi and throws him out the window, and everyone's looking at him. He's like, "No ticket," and then everybody holds their ticket up. That's what I thought of, because as soon as that guy got vaporized, he was like.
Plus, that dude is such a douchebag too. It was hilarious because when he first get there, like, take a ticket, and he's like, "Fuck you!" No, he didn't say "fuck you," but that was like his sentiment. And then he gets up there and he's like, "I asked the guy for a ticket. He didn't give me a ticket." He's like, "What are you looking at, bucket heads?"
I have a theory on that guy. He was another Loki variant.
You think so?
I think so. That's a total theory. I have absolutely nothing to base that off of, other than his attitude.
I was gonna say he had his arrogance and attitude. Oh, when he was on trial he's sitting there and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm guilty of this. And he's trying to pull out his knives. And that girl's laughing at him. And she's like, ma'am, he's trying to use his powers. He's like, hold on a second. Hold on. It's that moment of honesty. He's like, why isn't it working?
Yeah.
So good. I will say Owen Wilson brings his brain of comedy perfectly into this. Like he's got like just that perfect sense of humor. Like when he goes up to the judge's desk and he's like, I always love that you're always looking down on me, or I'm always looking up to you. He's like, I like that. This just seems right. Like it's like I love this dude.
Wow.
I love him. I'm waiting for it. I'm so mad we haven't gotten it yet. I've watched people
in there.
I've watched people react to it and all that stuff, and just they're like we haven't gotten our wow yet. Like I'm waiting for that one wow. Like, wow. It was close when he said, which I don't know if you guys caught it, when he helped Loki up off the floor. Did you see before they showed that he had stolen the glitching device or whatever it was? Did you actually see him take it?
Mm-hmm. I noticed it right away. I was like, he just pickpocketed him.
I don't remember. That was like 2 weeks ago, dude. I don't remember.
Oh, when I first saw him like go to like hold him up, I was like, he's gonna steal something out of his pocket. He's gonna steal that damn thing, and it was so smooth. And I'm so glad that they actually showed it. You can see him like grabbing it, and like right as they stand up, you watch him just like slowly put it in his pocket.
Yeah,
and it was just flawless. And I was like, I'm glad I got to see that in real time. It wasn't like an off-screen thing, like, oh, he took it. Like you get to see it if you paid attention enough. It was beautiful, beautiful,
beautiful.
And then when he comes back in the room, he gives that Owen Wilson line. He's like, that mischievous little scamp. Like, not even like he's upset. He's just like, he got me.
It's like Owen Wilson, like your favorite actor of all time, dude. That's what it seems like right now.
A little bit.
He's a national treasure, man. All right.
Wow.
I've loved him in Night at the Museum. I've loved him at Wedding Crashers.
Listen, dude, you didn't even name his best movie, Shanghai Nights, dude. Come on.
That too.
Kung Pao chicken on a clothesline, dude.
No mas, John.
What do you think? I'm gonna invest in the automobile? Yeah, that's a real winner.
No, is it the second one where they're in London? He keeps calling that dude Rat Boner.
I think my friend here might want some spotted dick.
Yeah, spotted dick.
Oh, those are such good movies. So good.
Fucking Jackie Chan.
In London. Oh my God. I don't mean to get off topic, but he's like, how did you get out of there? And Owen Wilson just got the toothpicks and he just like flicks them. Think you can leave me in the desert to die? No. But yeah, I do love him as an actor. I'm not gonna lie. National treasure.
He's good in Wedding Crashers too.
So. Oh, it's phenomenal in that movie. I don't know what else more to talk about this show, because I mean, with the first two episodes, we got a lot without getting a lot, because it's more so based off of like what we already know. And now with like that spider web of the timeline being bombed tomorrow, which I'm getting up and I'm going to watch this shit first thing in the morning, like I always do. I think is when I'm really excited to see, we're getting into now the nitty gritty of what's going on.
Yeah, the nitty gritty.
The meat and potatoes.
I didn't have an old lunch lady voice to throw in with you guys.
I was waiting for Nick to go like, ah. Or was it?
I should have just did an awkward.
You should have done your Tesla noise when you walk around and see the front of a Tesla. Okay, to close this off, I want to get you guys' thoughts, theories.
No.
What you think we're going to get in tomorrow's episode?
Nothing.
What do you think? Oh, there you go.
It's going to be a black screen for 40 minutes.
That would suck.
What do you think, Nick?
You have to order special glasses to see.
You got to pay an extra $30 to Disney Plus to see the episode.
They'll mail you some TVA branded fucking eyeglassware.
It's a decoder. It's just going to tell you
drink more Ovaltine.
That's what tomorrow's episode's going to be.
Oh my God.
Well, there you go. That's what they think's gonna happen. Whatever the fuck that was.
You never seen A Christmas Story, bro?
Yes, I have.
can't believe we both quoted the same fucking thing. Drink more Ovaltine.
I already gave you my theory and everything earlier, though. What I think is going on. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If it's going to be a filler episode or if it's just going to keep on going.
I don't think they're gonna have time for filler.
I don't either.
If there's only like what you said, 6 or 7 episodes, then we'll see what happens. I'm just excited.
I think WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier was our filler, and I think now we're into the, as I said, meat and potatoes of things.
Sounds good.
Oh, okay. Is that how we're doing it now?
No, I think it's gonna be a good episode. I don't really know what's gonna happen. I think you'll find out her plan. I think that's about all they'll reveal. But
I don't know why when you did the high pitched voice, I'll hear, is it cry for help?
I saw no way out. I believe you, but why are you saying it like you're asking me?
Fucking Anchorman too, man. Hangs himself from a fucking hanging light.
Fluorescent light.
On strings.
This is it, Baxter.
You can't fire me. You're fired. I'll have you know every morning I show up to work an hour early and sexually assault a starfish.
That's what's gonna happen, dude. They're gonna fucking go back in time into the Anchorman 2 world.
They're
Stop
gonna
running.
save those starfish.
Stop Ron Burgundy from sexually assaulting a starfish.
We're gonna get the bear, dude. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Oh my god, that's funny. I'm crying. All right, well, that'll do it on our react review of Loki episode 1 and 2. As always, if you made it to the end of the
It's been a long week.
fucking hate you.
You almost
been a
made
lo-
it, dude. You almost made it.
It's been a long week. But if you made it to the end of the episode, thank you very much. Like I said in the beginning, if you have not, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page as well as all of our social medias where you can find us on Cantina Corner. In any search engine, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, we'll be there. And we will see you next time. Have a great fucking week.
Deuces.